Hello my loves and welcome to EBINOTTI Beauty. I am EBINOTTI and I'm going to show you guys today some very exciting new makeup. I've never tried SHEIN makeup, but I'm so excited to show you guys this palette from SHEIN. So it's a beach sunset palette. It's got lots of warm tones in it. It's absolutely stunning. So I'm so excited to show you guys some new stuff. So let's get into it. We're going to prime today with the Nivea Aftershave Balm. This is a men's product. Pretty much the only primer you will ever see me using. So if you're not familiar, I highly recommend trying this out for a primer. I like to let it sit for just a minute or two and make sure it soaks in. And then we're gonna go into the SHEIN makeup. So this is the She Glam line that you can get on SHEIN. My links are Canadian, so if you're not Canadian, just type in SHEIN and go from there. She Glam is, I'm not sure how new it is, but it's cruelty-free. It's really affordable, absolutely amazing. So this is my first time trying it out. First impressions right here for you guys. It's a little thicker than I would probably normally go, but it is a nice medium full coverage foundation. So color's a little darker than I would normally go, but I was just trying to shop online with it. So I would suggest if you're shopping online for color to go one shade down than you would normally go, because I went with where I would normally go in the shade range and it's a little dark for me. So so far texture is really nice. Again, it's a bit of a thicker formula, so more full coverage if you like that, and if you don't, I am going to try this makeup again for you guys to get, I'm going to mix the color with something a little bit lighter and something a little thinner. So if you do have thicker foundations and you don't know what to do with them, you can always do that, is like cut it with another foundation. So I'll show you guys that one next time. Now we're gonna go into the concealers. How amazing is this packaging? Like you get like 30 milliliters or something. Like it's a big package of concealer and it's only a couple of bucks. So I'm really excited to try this one out. The first one I'm trying is very close to my skin tone. So I'm using this one to cancel out any darkness under the eyes, kind of like a color corrector. And then I'm going to go in with a lighter concealer on top of it and highlight. So just using my finger to apply this. You can use a brush or your finger, whatever works. These sponges I also got from SHEIN, and they're a little different than I'm used to for sponges, but not in a bad way. I actually really like them. So if you guys are looking for new sponges to try out in your makeup routine, I highly recommend trying these SHEIN ones. I got this little 3-pack of them, but this is just the one that's shaped like the Beauty Blender. So just adding a little bit more of that highlight, that color correcting shade, which again is close to my skin tone. Just want to make sure everything is like really nicely covered, especially when I do a first impression of new makeup. I like to really test it out and take my time with blending and just see like how the products are working together. So just adding a little bit more around the nose where I have some redness and stuff. A lot of people like have that kind of around the nose. So I wanted to really test this stuff up and layer it and see how it goes. So now we're going to move into that lighter shade of concealer. Again, so obsessed with the packaging. And I'm just putting that in under the eyes where I have like those dark circles, bringing it a little bit down, and then the tip of the nose, the bridge of the nose, the top of the lip, the chin, just basically the places I like to highlight. Typically, I really love the way this stuff works when you're using your finger, because oh my god, it melts so beautifully, and like my fingers usually aren't very warm. Like I have the coldest hands ever usually, so this stuff, like when you use your finger, it really turns into a beautiful consistency. So if you have any trouble with it, just maybe give that a go, you know, try it with your fingers instead of applying it with a brush, and then blend it out with the sponge like I'm doing here. Just taking that over the eyelid, prepping for eyeshadows, making sure everything's blended really nicely, loving that. I'm gonna add a little bit on top of the brow and the forehead where I like to highlight a little bit more as well. Everything's layering up really, really nicely so far, so just having a little close-up look at that, seeing if it's settling into fine lines and how long I'm gonna have to wait before I step into powders. But before we do that, we're going to contour with some cream contour. This is just one of the concealer shades, and I'm using it in a dark brown. So I'm gonna show you guys why you have to be very, very careful with cream contouring. One, you don't know how quickly the product is going to set down. So you don't know if it's, you know, when you put it, if you do it all over the whole face, then look at how quickly this is setting. that would be a huge problem if I had put these lines all over my face. So when you're testing out a new product, especially something like a cream contour, I highly, highly, highly recommend starting in small sections with a very small amount of product. You can fix it like I'm fixing it now, just by blending it out, trying to move quickly with the product, and then if that doesn't work, using your sponge and just pulling some of the product off of the face, because that's really what your sponge is going to do outside of making it flawless and perfectly blended, is it will pick up a lot of that product. So that's one of my tips and tricks if you've kind of overdone your cream contour a little bit and you don't want to wash your face and start all over again. Because your concealer is really light and your foundation is lighter, you can use that to blend your lines. I always contour under my jaw when I'm using a cream contour. I like the way it brings more warmth around the face and just kind of blends everything together, but also my face is a bit long, so I like to shorten up my chin a little bit. It's really important that you go down the ear as well, like, you know, on the side of your jawline. Now we're going to contour up the nose a little bit, again using very small amounts of this product, and then I'm just flicking the brush up towards the bridge. I like to put it here on the sides of my nose, just under my eyebrow as well, to bring a bit of warmth up to that area, and then I just drag it across the lid and out towards the temples to make that all blended. So far everything's looking really good, nice and smooth, it's blending nicely. We're gonna set it down with the SHEIN loose powder. I got this in the pink shade because Carly Bible, who I saw the video on for this SHEIN makeup, she'd done a review on it. She used the pink shade for the loose setting powder and it looked so flawless and amazing, so I thought, you know what, I'm gonna try it. I usually use 2 loose powders to set my face anyways, the one powder that we're gonna bake with, just like this, in all sort of your trouble areas, you know, under the eyes, sides of the nose, around the mouth. And then I'll go in with something closer to my skin tone and blend all of that together. Always make sure you set with lots of powder the eyelids. It'll help so much when you come time to do your eyeshadow, so that's a big tip. Just going into a fluffier brush now, I'm going to cut out the jawline. This is one of my biggest tips for if you're doing any kind of contouring, and then just blending out some of those lines so we don't have any harsh lines. Makeup Revolution also has a great loose setting powder that I love to use. This one is called Lace. That's the color of it, and I like to use it to blend out all of those baking lines as well as the contour, so just setting the rest of the face with this powder. It looks like I'm brushing and dragging the brush, but I'm not. I'm tapping it really lightly to start to set those places in the face that are still really wet, and then I will buff and I will blend all of the powders together, but only once they've started to set down. So be very careful when you first start setting your face. I've been doing this for a long time, so I know when my makeup is setting, I can feel it. So just try to get to that point where, you know, you keep practicing and then you'll feel that way too, where you can tell your makeup is set and now you can buff it in. Until then, just be very careful and just tap it around until you feel like it's nice and dry. If you're not sure, you can always use your fingertips and just touch your face and see if it's still wet or sticky. And then you'll know right away. For bronzer today, we're going to use the Milani bronzer. I'm absolutely loving this bronzer right now. It's one of my faves. It's the only thing that finally got me to put down my Physicians Formula butter bronzer, is this one. So I got the Wet n Wild bronzer and the Milani bronzer at the same time. This one is hands down my favorite. Milani has redone a bunch of branding, so if you've used like some of their OG bronzers, these new color formulas are phenomenal. I like how they're not too warm. They're almost borderline contour shades with those gray undertones for creating shadows, but perfectly warm. It's like a neutral warm, so loving it. Can't rave about that enough. I hope the sound is okay on this one. It looks like it's going red quite a bit. The SHEIN blush, oh my goodness, so exciting. Look at how gorgeous this packaging is. That's one thing. The SHEIN line, the packaging is stunning. It's definitely up to standard. All the brand standards that we have going on right now, SHEIN is right up there with drugstore quality, so I'm super impressed. One thing about their blushes is they're highly pigmented, so if you're using a flat brush like I am, be careful because it's quite a bit of product. We're gonna highlight today with the Wet n Wild Precious Petals. If you've never tried this one, you need to try it. It is absolutely stunning. The only thing I would say is if you have any texture on your cheeks, be very careful with the amount of highlighter that you put on your cheeks, because it will bring your texture forward. Also, even if you have smooth cheeks like me, make sure you're blending that highlighter in a few extra seconds, because it can look a little bit metallic on the cheek if it's not blended properly. So just if somebody's standing beside you and looking at your cheek, they'll see the eyeshadow instead of seeing a gorgeous highlight. So just make sure you're doing a good amount of blending when it comes to this highlighter. It's definitely like a glassy, wet glow kind of highlighter. It doesn't get much better than this guy. Stunning. Love it. Love that highlighter so much. So this is basically our base. I'm going to give you guys a close-up here so you can see how everything's setting under the eyes, around the mouth. It looks really, really great in real life. I still like a bit of a lighter foundation. That's one thing. I don't need a ton of coverage, so I don't always do a thick or heavy foundation like this, but I mean, it's stunning. So overall, super impressed with the SHEGLAM line. I'm going to show you guys now this gorgeous eyeshadow palette. I'm so impressed with their eyeshadow palettes. Like, the quality is stunning. The packaging is even more beautiful. It's way beyond what I expected. So look at these colors. And each palette looks like this, where you get a good amount of mattes with a couple of shimmers. So these are the colors we're going to mess with today. These four, basically, starting off with this transition shade. We're going to use that on a fluffy brush. Most of my brushes are BH Cosmetics. I get the brush sets from them, so I link them down below. BH is kind of like the Canadian version of Morphe, even though I don't think it's a Canadian company. It's just much more accessible for us Canadians up here in the north. So just using that color and blending it all around the transition, in the crease, getting everything ready for some darker colors. Now, if you see how I lay that down in the V on the outer third of the eye and then blend it around, I mean, these eyeshadows are highly pigmented. So I recommend starting with a small amount of shadow and then blending it out and adding more to give it more depth or more pigment or whatever you're looking for. Just giving that a good blend, and then we're going to move on to a darker color. So just hitting the middle color here, stepping it up one more. We're going to add that basically exactly everywhere that we just added the other shade. Normally I would keep it a little bit tighter than I do the first shade. I'll kind of blow the first one out a little bit tighter with the next one, tighter the darker we get. But this one, I really wanted to do a big smoky sunset eye. So blowing this one out quite a bit and dragging it out into a subtle V. Okay, and then blending it out just to make sure that it matches up. I like to kind of go back and forth sometimes, bouncing between the eyes. Initially laying down that color though, like, you can be as messy or as, you know, tight and accurate as you want. I'm trying to keep this one a little bit messier. I definitely want it blown all the way out and up towards the brow. So try playing around with different techniques and colors and see how that works for you. Just going back into that transition shade, we're going to blend out all of our edges and just make sure everything's looking clean and nice. I am using the same brush for the most part, but I do wipe it on paper towel and clean it out like in between picking up new colors. So just a little tip there. If you have any problems with, you know, your colors looking muddy or messy, it's probably because you're not cleaning your brush out enough between adding new colors. And also you might just be picking up too much product on the first round. So we're going to go under the eye now. At this stage, I like to go under the eye and get the rest of my shapes, just using like a soft, round, fluffy brush, and just mixing those two colors that we've used so far. But you see how on the outer corner there, it kind of helps you shape that flick so it doesn't get down too low. It's a big tip. Next, we're going to go in for the darkest shade. I'm just using a tight little angled brush here. It's a really small brush, and just darkening up the lash line a little bit. Nothing crazy. I'm not trying to do a wing or anything yet. I'm just keeping it kind of, you know, shaded in and trying to darken up the lashes a little bit. We are going to go in with a wing in just a second, but I really want to see these eyeshadow eyelid colors. So it's time. This is an It's My Ray Ray brush from, again, BH Cosmetics, a brush set. I always like to try these colors out with a brush first. I'm not overly impressed with how everything works on a brush. Obviously, it's really, really pretty when you put it on with your finger. I have extremely long nails right now, but luckily this one's broken. So we're gonna use that to be able to push this one on. It looks absolutely stunning when you use your finger, so definitely a little more impressed with this color using the finger than the brush. You can also spray your brush and get it wet. A wet look is usually the way to really get some payoff when it comes to glitter shadows and things like that. So I'm not trying to do anything crazy. I just wanted to add a bit of shimmer and a bit of depth, and this color is actually really, really pretty. Don't forget to flick away any fallout that you're having. I always keep a clean brush on me just to kind of do that. Fallout can get stuck under your eyes and give you all kinds of weird shadows, so don't do that. Using that same darkest shadow that we used to darken up the lash line, I'm just running it under the lower lash line as well and darkening that up. Yeah, and just connecting the corners and making sure everything is blended and smoked out and looking nice. So far, I absolutely love the way this is looking. It's got that whole kind of purpley gray undertone, which I think is so, so, so stunning. Just playing around with all the colors we've used so far. This is the transition color, just cleaning up all of our edges right now. You can go back in and darken up or brighten up anything at this point before you step into liner and mascara. You really want those to be your final steps. I always re-add a little bit of highlighter at this point as well, just because I've been wiping away fallout. We're going to do an inner corner highlight now. I'm going to use this gorgeous little color. It's a little more pink on camera than it is in real life, but it is a really pretty color. So this is my first time using these shadows. I wasn't really sure how they were going to show up. So this is a fluffy brush. It doesn't pick up a ton of product, but the more that I work with it here, the better the outcome is. So right now I'm having a bit of trouble with it, just getting any kind of payoff. The more product that I pick up on the brush, the better. Also, it seems like there's a bit of a layer on top, so once you get past that first layer, you do get a little more pigment. So here and now, there's a lot more color payoff than there was before. So just keep kind of digging with it, working with it. I'm really impressed with these eyeshadows. I have the Morphe Madison Beer palette, and I think these shadows are far more high quality. It's not like the Madison Beer palette is no good or Morphe palettes aren't good. They're great. It's just I was more impressed with these pigments and glitter shadows than I was with the Madison Beer palette. So just keep that in mind if you're out in the market for a palette right now. I'm going to take that dark shade again and just run it along the lash line. This time we are going to build a little bit of a proper wing. So making sure you tap off your brush, blow off any excess product before you dab in, because I am picking up quite a bit of that dark pigment to do this wing liner. Mostly just stamping it on, trying to get that pigment nice and dark. I'm obviously not trying to go for a black or anything like that, so it doesn't have to be so dark, but I do want it to show that I've got a bit of a wing going on. So I'm just going to show you guys how I build that wing slowly but surely, connect it underneath. I don't always run a dark color underneath like this, but I wanted to give it a bit of that Egyptian kind of cat eye look. So this is me just slowly but surely building out a shadow wing. One of the biggest things is I try to look at my eyes and my face from different angles while I'm doing this, so I can really make sure I'm flattering my features instead of just trying to pull off a wing. Sometimes they can get a little crazy and janky if you do it that way. And then just blending it back out with that fluffy brush. I want to blend out those edges along the bottom especially. So really just playing around, you know, step by step, keep looking at it from different angles, seeing what you like. At this point, I'm pretty happy. So we're going to step into mascara. Maybelline Lash Sensational in Black is Black. Like, if you don't know, now you know. It's the best. This Essence Brow Gel too, I really love it, but I have recently switched back to the NYX one. And I like it a little bit more. I know when I first tried the NYX one, I wasn't a big fan, if you've been around on my channel for a while, but the Make Me Brow is great from Essence, but the NYX one is more my favorite now. Just using an Annabelle lip liner here. I'm going to keep the lips super simple today. Doing a quick lip liner. These Annabelle liners are really affordable and pretty decent. Like, I wouldn't say they're comparable to MAC or anything like that, but they get the job done, you know. And sometimes when you're really not sure what kind of direction you want to take your lip for the season or the year or something, like, I wouldn't spend $35 on a lip liner when I really don't know, like, it's not a red or or my favorite nude or something like that, you know. So if you're trying out new lip liners, I highly recommend going a little bit cheaper just so you can see what colors you like. If you're like me and you're really not sure kind of what you're vibing with right now. Some people have go-tos, you know, when it comes to lip, and I'm so jealous because I don't feel like I'll ever be that girl. My lips are always lip gloss. So I'm trying to do a little bit more for you guys in terms of lip. So just drawing that a little bit on to the lip as well. And then we're going to use the Essence lip gloss. This clear one is so stunning. It's nice and thick, so it stays on pretty good, but it's not overly sticky. Like, it doesn't give you that like super gross sticky vibe. But nude lip liner and a clear gloss has kind of been my thing lately. I'm vibing with it. I love it. I love the way it looks. So that's the whole first impression of SHEIN makeup. If you guys haven't tried SHEIN's makeup yet, oh my god, I recommend it. Okay, I'm gonna pick up another haul probably in the next month or so for spring. Just want to add a little more to my brows, since looking at the smoky eye, there's quite a bit going on. So sometimes when I'm done my makeup, I'm not done my makeup, you know. Just adding a little bit of this Maybelline Tattoo Studio brow pen on. This is the one with the three little brush things, you know. Great product. I'm not a huge brow person, so I'm pretty low maintenance when it comes to my brows, but these are great. If you can see, I totally just messed up there, and in like 2 seconds I can scrub it off with a spoolie and it comes off no problem. Not that time because it's still wet. So mascara and brow gels and things like that, if you touch somewhere on your face, under your eye, eyelid, brow, whatever, make sure you let it dry before you try to take it off. As soon as it's fully dried down, you can just scrub it off. It comes right off, just like that. Look at that. Boom, gone. Mascara is the same. So it's a bit of an old trick, but if you don't know that one, you need to know that one. Just wiping away any fallout one last time, adding a bit more bronzer just to make sure everything is still blended and gorgeous. And now our final look. So the eyeshadow palettes from SHEIN, stunning. The concealers, fuck yes, so much yes to that. I have 2 more eyeshadow palettes to show you guys, and I'm going to do a ton of looks. I'm not just going to do a brand new eyeshadow palette and one look from that palette. I'm going to show you guys more and more. So anything you want to see from me, just let me know. You can leave it down below in the comment section. I'd be happy to hear what you guys are struggling with when it comes to your beauty routine, products that you're trying. I mostly stick to drugstore and affordable stuff, but let me know what you guys want to see from me. If you have any suggestions, I am so in love with these eyeshadow palettes from SHEIN. I literally can't get over it. So the next one I have, I think, is called Blossom. I'm going to show you guys a bit of a cute pink look. Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram. I'm out there if you want to see more styling videos. I do a ton of fashion stuff. I am a fashion grad, so I went to school for that. If you guys want to see anything that I've got going on style-wise, tips, tricks, I do a lot more clothing stuff on Instagram than I do here on YouTube, but I do have another clothing haul coming up for you guys. Actually, it's not a clothing haul, it's a styling video. So I have a styling video coming up for you guys for the end of winter, transitioning into the spring. If you're curious, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Stick around. Thank you so much for stopping by. I am EBINOTTI, and this is my latest makeup look. I pretty much do different makeup like every single day, so I'm pretty open to any suggestions you guys have. I'm trying to step out of my comfort zone with color and stuff this year, so yeah, what are your makeup goals for the year? Do you have any big goals that you're working on? I did a challenge on Instagram, the no makeup selfie. I'm trying to do like a no makeup Mondays thing. I feel like we should all love our faces without makeup, so any tips and tricks that you need for getting the perfect no makeup selfie, let me know. Hit me up on Instagram if you want. I do stuff like that out there all the time. So I'm just feeling myself right now with this whole vibe. I don't often do a lot of red tones and warm tones on the eyes, so I know they're like the most popular thing, but for the most part, I avoid it like the plague. So thanks again, guys, for stopping by. I love ya, and I will see you guys on my next video.